Hey everybody, this is your Scorpion King, your Mikote Monk, the champion of Unova, and oh, I know it's screwed. Hey everybody, this is Antares once again with another episode of Ark Survival Evolved and the Scorched Earth map. So I've been doing some note hunting, and I've managed to gather them all. Last time I read Raia's Tablets, so now we're going to read John Dahkeya for this video. And then in the following videos, we're going to read Edmund Rockwell and Helena Walker. So, without further ado, we'll read John Dahkeya's. I think his are the ones I should have read first, because he and Raia are together, and Raia goes on after his notes end. So, anyway. Old habits die hard. I suppose I'm living proof. I woke up stark naked, who knows where, with who knows what lodged in my arm. But just weeks later, I am already back to robbing folks at gunpoint. This place may not be Texas or the Arizona territory, but I'm the same John Dahkeya. I don't know why that makes me restless. I didn't mind this life before, but then I don't exactly choose it. I just stumbled into it, or at least that's what I told myself. So much for that. Maybe this is just who I am. Okay, one thing I gotta look up into. Okay, so the Arizona territory was actually a big territory that spread to New Mexico as well. And it lasted from 1863 into 1912. So there you have it. He comes from that time period. Sometimes the pennies a man won't part with willingly are worth less than the words he'll share with any stranger. So my new partners don't see that. Blondie's particularly bland to it. He's always looking for an excuse to pull the trigger, and he's stubborn as so. He even still gets mad if we call him Blondie, as if any of us can pronounce that name of his. But if Blondie were calling the shots, that hunter wouldn't have told us about the group gathering to the southeast, and they'll have a lot more for the taking than Animal Heights. I can't believe how easy this was. There weren't many guards to begin with, and the few they've got are more likely to shoot you a smile than a bullet. We just walked right in. The settlement is even bigger than we expected. It's impressive, protection aside. Everyone working together to build their own little paradise, not that it'll last. If you ask them, they'll credit their leader, a woman named Raia. The others have spread out to find where the supplies are stored, but I'm feeling curious. Maybe I'll go find this mystery woman. Might be interesting. I don't know what brought me to this desert. Back home, among the Indi, I think that's what it says, they would probably say it was the spirits of our ancestors. Other folks might say God. Whatever it was, after talking to that woman, I realize now that I've been wasting what it's given me. I have no history here. There are no posters showing off my sneering face, no posses hunting me. I can be any man I choose, so today I'm making a choice. The folks here don't deserve to be robbed. What they deserve is protection, and I'm the man to protect them. Maybe they'll even call me sheriff. Blondie didn't approve of my decision. I've never been very good at persuasion, so I let my pistol make my case. The others saw it my way after that. Oh, did he kill Blondie? Convincing Raia was a lot less trouble. She knew the settlement's guards weren't exactly the cream of the crop, and that if I'd wanted trouble, I've already made it. When Raia talks, people listen. I can tell that much from watching her, but in a lawless place like this, words aren't enough. It didn't take long for us to come to terms. Well, I suppose I'd better inspect the troops. Maybe a few of them can shoot. Now I know how the old man felt when he was teaching me how to hunt. We stopped seeing eye to eye even before I left the tribe, but I'll always thank him for the time he spent telling me the same things over and over again. Must have driven wild inside, but he never showed it. Hasn't been easy to imitate that patience. Half of this sorry bunch is green as grass, and the half that isn't would rather hold a spear than a gun. At least they're improving, even if it's at the speed of molasses. Her Highness stops by on occasion, but thankfully it's just for a gander. It doesn't even be harder with distractions. Yeah, something I've noticed is that some of these notes are glitched. There's glitches on some of these notes, so I'll have to improvise. But from what I noticed about John Dahkeya is that he is a native. So, yeah. He's talking about tribes and a word I couldn't pronounce, so that's my assumption. My patchwork posse had their first real test today. Some of our gatherers ran into those big lizards a few miles west of the village, and some of them managed to call for help. Luckily, the others had tucked themselves away in the outcropping, and we got everyone back safe and sound. Well, except for the Frenchman. He forgot that when you shoot at those big lizards, they'll shoot right back. It took them hours to get those barbs out of his arm. When we got back, I think I heard the words "thank you" more than any other day in my life. I didn't really know what to say in return. The townsfolk may be grateful for my protection, but that doesn't mean they like me. I don't mind. If they're looking for social graces, they ought to find Her Highness. Raia hates that nickname. She thinks I'm calling her stuck-up, and I suppose I am. Just a little. Can't imagine the woman's hands ever saw a callus before she got here. That's not the whole of it, though. Take this business with that tower. She's got folks from all sorts of places praying to the thing, and she's never really asked them to. They just want to follow her lead. It's like she's wearing an invisible crown. Can't decide whether that's comforting or concerning. My band of misfit lawmen may finally be coming together. It's been a whole week since someone shot themselves in the leg, or pissed the britches over a raptor. May all finally be able to get some decent shut eye. Probably too much to hope for. Every day grows a little bigger, and I have a few more problems to solve. Those giant bugs from the other day, for example, found two of them playing around with a pickaxe a few miles north of the river. I've never heard of any animals using tools, not outside of the legends the others used to tell about the big owl and coyote. Doesn't seem natural. Something damaged the water pipe outside of town yesterday, and when a crew went to repair it, they were attacked by a whole mess of mantises. My boys and I drove them off, but we were too late to save the engineers. I know it sounds crazy, but I think those mantises cut through the pipe on purpose to draw us out. If I'm right, then I'm more concerned about them than anything. In the stories about Big Owl and Coyote, Big Owl was the huge scary one, but Coyote was more dangerous because he was clever. He tricked man and monster alike, and everyone feared him. I never believed those stories, but I sure remember the lesson. Excuse me for a moment. Alright, back. Let's proceed, shall we? Where was I? Was it number 10? Nope, I did number 10. I was worried that Raia would fight some of the new precautions my boys have been taking, but I guess I've earned a looser leash. I suppose I ought to lay off the highness talk then. Seems only fair. The other day, we even shot up the breeze a little. First time we talked about something besides what needs doing. Seems we're both a little worn out. Unlike me, she's used to being respectable and responsible, but being in charge means everyone wants your time and attention. This place hasn't been easy on either of us or anyone else, but I'm still kicking so far. Come what may, I don't plan on stopping. Something like this was bound to happen one day. The bigger the town gets, the more value Raia has to it. And what happens to valuable things? People try to steal them. It wasn't a bad idea, holding her for ransom like that. Too bad for those raiders that this is my town. I picked most of them off with the rifle as they tried to force her onto a pack animal, and my men finished a few others as they fled. One tried surrendering, but I had to send a message. If you pull a stunt like that, of my town, you won't get any mercy. Not a single shred of it. That woman's got some nerve. I say for hide and the next day, Raia's scolding me for putting down a defenseless kidnapper. Hardly even thanked me first. What did she expect me to do? Give him free room and board for the rest of his days? Let him go so he can tell every bandit in the desert how soft we are? I told her that if she didn't like the way I protected her, then she can protect herself. Should have kept my mouth shut. Now I'm stuck teaching her how to shoot 3 times a week. Gonna be at it forever, too. She couldn't hit a bison from 5 paces. I do believe that my pupil is the first Deadeye Egyptian priestess the world's ever seen. It took a few months, but Raia's just too stubborn to quit. Oh wow, so a few months since the last note. I shouldn't have been so hard on her. Trying to keep your faith and traditions in a dog-eat-dog world isn't easy. I couldn't even do it myself. And that was before giant lizards were looking to take a bite out of my backside. During one lesson, she told me this story about how her goddess had a nice side and a nasty one. I think she meant something else, but the way I see it, we're the goddess. She's nice, I'm nasty, and we keep each other in check. Oh yeah, it's the story about Hathor and Sekhmet, I think. 2 sides of the same coin. Even after all this time in Nosti, I have trouble sleeping in the same bed every night. Sometimes I'll just toss and turn until I give up and go sleep beneath the stars. I'm not even sure we ever slept in the same spot twice back in the Russo gang. I thought I lived that way forever, wild and free like Doc Russo. Probably die guns blazing like him too. Sounded better to me than withering away with the rest of my tribe as the world passed us by. I don't think Doc would recognize me now. I'm not the Apache nephew he taught to read and shoot. Matter of fact, if he were here, I'd probably have to shoot him. So he's an Apache then. And I think the Apaches were... No, actually, I don't know. I have to read into that. I was thinking of the Aztecs that were in Mexico. But, I got mixed up. I expected those mantises to come back, but not like this. They came at the village from 2 sides at the same time, and the way they moved, they were coordinated than any wolf pack. They worked together like men would. Took nearly half a day to fend them off, and they didn't leave us without scars. If attacks like this become common, we're going to be in a heap of trouble, sorry. So I've decided to round up my best man to track these critters down. We got to at least find out where they're coming from. We've been tracking these things for ages. I can't believe they traveled so far just to attack us. Something like that has to be deliberate. I already knew these things were smart, but if they were that determined to kill us, then we got to wipe them out here and now. That's easier said than done. There's a whole mess of them here. Can't say I've heard of any mantises living in a group like this, but I'm no expert when it comes to animals. Certainly not in this crazy place. At any rate, I've got to come up with some kind of plan. Shooting them one by one won't do the trick. Take them out all at once then. I'm glad I decided to take Sasha with me. The Russian showed up in Nosti less than a month ago, but she already knew her way around a gun. Says she learned it in a place called Gru. Never heard of it, but apparently they teach you all sorts of tricks there, like how to make bombs more powerful than dynamite. The caves the mantises are holed up in are filled with sulfur, so if we set Sasha's bombs in the right spot, we should be able to wipe them all out at once, provided we can shoot our way in and out without becoming mantis chow. Well, Captain, time to earn your title. Okay, I'm looking up the displays right now. I guess it's from the modern era. Was the Foreign Military Intelligence Agency of the Soviet Army General Staff of the Soviet Union until 1991. Okay, so Sasha comes from a more modern era. I can't recall the journey back to town, but I remember the caverns. The mantises didn't take too kindly to our intrusion. It took half my man with them before we blew them to hell. Well, most of them. One came at us while we were celebrating, and I pushed Sasha out of the way like a fool. Nearly got myself skewered. Now Raia's got me all cooped up until I finish recovering. Threatened to tie me to the bed if I try to leave. I'd probably drive myself nuts if she didn't keep me company so often. She was even here when I first woke up. I admit, I was glad to see the sight. Oh yeah, I remember this. How long have I wanted this? I can't place it exactly, but it feels like I always have. I suppose that's how I know it's right. It's not just that Raia is beautiful. I've known beautiful women before her, but I never got the same feeling when I looked at them. I never felt this at home around them, or anyone for that matter. What happened between us when I was stuck in that room, it was in the heat of the moment there. At least I don't think. All I know is that now, I don't mind sleeping in the same bed every night. Not anymore. Excuse me once again. Alright everybody, I'm back. And as you can see, I took care of the car, no problem. He'll disappear soon enough. After all, we're not here to look at him. Alright buddy, let's read you a story. I was on 21. So Raia pretty much hooked up with John here. Maybe I should change my name again. Seems fitting. I started calling myself John about a week after joining up with Doc Russo. The others never called me Dahkeya anyway, so I figured they may as well call me by a name I chose myself. That was part of it, but I think that deep down I also knew that the boy who earned the name Dahkeya was gone for good. Now I think the outlaw named John Dahkeya is gone too. So it would make sense to call myself something else. Then again, that may just confuse folks. Probably not worth the hassle. Besides, I kinda like the way it sounds with an Egyptian accent. Aha. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I don't like my own name, but if a sweetheart were to say it, I probably wouldn't mind hearing it for the rest of my life. Things have been quiet for a while now. Downright pleasant, even. At least that was the case until one of our hunting parties went missing about 5 days ago. Well, they're not missing anymore. At least what's left of them. We scoured every inch of their camp and still can't figure out who attacked them. There aren't any prints from animals, and what ones we found aren't like any creature I've seen. There are scorch marks aplenty, though. Maybe it was a group of raiders with some of those new flame-spewing weapons that I've heard tell about. Whoever it was, I'll see to it that they live just long enough to regret it. John cares about his men. That's a fact. We finally tracked down our culprit this morning, and was he one mean son of a gun? One big mean son of a gun. He had wings like a bat, a head like a lizard, and spat fire from his mouth. I'd never seen anything like it, not even here. Fortunately, anything will die if you put enough bullets in its head. One of my men called it a wyvern, but he never actually seen one before. Said it was just a legend. No one in town had seen one either. So where did it come from? Did it just suddenly fly here from parts unknown? This whole affair doesn't sit right with me. Gives me a bad feeling. And given the Raia Tablets, we know what's going to happen next. Hulks have been spotting a lot more of those wyvern creatures, and they're not just throwing fire every which way either. Some spit lightning or acid. On top of that, those big pillars are acting funny. I checked with Sasha, since she doesn't buy into the Hathor business, and she sees it too. It's making me restless. Even between this and the mantises, it's starting to feel like this place wants us gone. I know that can't be right. There were no spirits of the land to stop the frontiersmen back home, and there are none here. Still, I should talk to Raia. If that tower is dangerous, she shouldn't be worshipping it. I shouldn't have expected her to listen. Raia's kept her faith this long, so there was no way a few wyverns and a talking to were going to change that, even if that talking to came from me. Still, I'm not about to take any chances. Whether it's wyverns, mantises, or giant towers, nothing's harming this town, and especially not harming her. Her prayer groups are getting extra guards, and I don't care if she likes it. I expect she won't. In fact, I'll probably have to sleep under the stars for the next few nights. Oh well. I suppose that's what you'd call the long-term investment. Yesterday, the tower started flashing and oh, hang on. For all my caution, I could have never prepared for this. Yesterday, the tower started flashing and glowing like a lightning storm. When I saw that, I settled up one of our cats and went to find Raia as fast as I could. Within minutes, the ground was crumbling beneath us, like the land was trying to swallow the nasty hole. Once I swung Raia up into the saddle, I had to ride like a man possessed, our cat leaping across broken buildings as they slipped into the ground. Even then, we barely made it, but we're the only ones. I spotted Sasha hanging onto a ledge as we escaped, but I couldn't get to him in time. We're all that's left. Wait, wasn't Sasha a woman? Up to this point, he has been calling Sasha a her, so... Oh well. I'm not gonna get into that. I wish I were better with words. I just don't know what to tell Raia after all that's happened. A loss like that is always going to ache, but nothing I do or say seems to ease the hurt at all. You know, things are ugly, but I'm the optimistic one. For now, I just got to keep us focused on staying alive, step by step. We're going back to the basics. Finding water, finding food, and finding shelter. This snaggletooth cat and I are all she's got left, and that means I've got to be steady for her. Somehow, we'll make it through this. I'm thinking that's Thyla. Given the description of how he was maneuvering during when Nasty was sinking, I would assume it's a Thyla because a saber-tooth is not that nimble. It's slower than a raptor. I know that much. So far, so good. The cat has helped keep the critters away, so I've conserved ammunition, and we're all stocked up on supplies. But for the immediate future, I'd say we're safe and secure. Further than immediate, though, I'm not so sure. Neither of us are builders, and there are bigger, tougher animals than long-toothed cats out there. Eventually, we'll need to find some new friends. Nasty was the biggest settlement in the desert, but it couldn't have been the only one. I heard rumors that our hunting party has seen some buildings to the west. Sounds like a good place to start as any. Oh boy. This is where it happens. Yep. See, wyverns. Those are wyverns. And the world scar, which has the wyverns, is to the west. I had everything under control. We were going to make it, but I just had to go searching for that town. What a stupid, boneheaded decision. It's not that the rumor was wrong. There are buildings, all right. Crumbling, abandoned buildings that are half buried in sand, and home to a group of wyverns that attacked us on the way in. We managed to give them the slip by taking shelter in this big circular building, but they've been circling it ever since. We got enough supplies for nearly a week. Hopefully they'll lose interest before we start to run dry. This is the last note. The wyverns haven't left. They're fixating on us. Even if they want me so bad, they'll... Oh. This is the last note. The wyverns haven't left. They're fixating on us. Well, if they want me so bad, they'll get it. I'm not foolhardy enough to fight them on my own, but I can at least insist that Raia take our mount. If things go south, then she'll have a chance to run. Raia, if that happens and you're reading this, don't go crying on my account. The time we've had is more than I could have hoped for. Besides, it'd be downright selfish of me to keep you to myself when you've got so much to offer the world. As for me, I've only got one true talent, and those ugly, overgrown lizards will find out just what that is when I drag them to hell. And that is the last of John Dahkeya. Oh boy. And just for a good finishing touch, let's read the last Raia tablet again. I know I've already read the tablets, but I think for good measure. I have seen so much since we last spoke, John. There are secrets in this desert that you will never believe. Dangers that would have paralyzed me with fear when we first met. But I am a different woman now. But you recognize me still, behind this black veil. I still find ways to help people, though not as I used to. I am no shepherd to the lost, no healer to the wounded souls. Sometimes I simply defend the defenseless, or guide those few who seek the truth behind this cursed place. Perhaps one day someone will find that truth, strike down the false gods of this world, of this land, and at last grant me rest. Yet until that day comes, know that I will not falter. Know that I will carry on. Well, there you have it, folks. That was the life of John Dahkeya, an outlaw back when Arizona was still called the Arizona Territory. And he was part of a gang led by a man named Doc Fruso. But what else can I say? He was an outlaw, and he became a sheriff. At least he wanted to be called a sheriff, but he was called captain. And he taught the people there how to shoot guns. Unfortunately, the city was doomed, and he managed to save Raia from the city started sinking, and from the wyverns that attacked them, at the cost of his own life. Man, he died a hero's death, that's for sure. Well, if you enjoyed this story, I hope you stick around for more. I'll be reading Edmund Rockwell's next, so see you soon.